Hey everyone, welcome back to Last Transmission, where we dive deep into the darkest, most mysterious true stories that still keep investigators up at night. Imagine this. It's a cold February night in 1978. 5 close friends, all young guys in their 20s and early 30s, are laughing, excited, heading home after watching a college basketball game. They stop for snacks, climb into the car, and drive off into the darkness. They never make it home. Their car is later found abandoned deep in the snowy Sierra Nevada mountains, way off any logical route. The guys are gone. Months pass. Then, when the snow finally melts, 4 bodies are discovered in the most bizarre circumstances imaginable. One of them is never found. This is the haunting, unsolved case of the Yuba County Five. 5 ordinary guys with big dreams for a basketball tournament who walked straight into one of California's strangest mysteries. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be asking the same question their families have asked for over 47 years. What the hell really happened that night? Let's start at the beginning. Yuba County, California, a quiet, working-class area north of Sacramento. In the mid-1970s, a local non-profit program for people with developmental disabilities started a basketball team called the Gateway Gators. The guys on the team weren't professional athletes, but they loved the game. They practiced hard, cheered each other on, and became more than teammates. They became a tight-knit group of best friends who called each other the Boys. Here's who they were. Jack Madruga, 30 years old, Army veteran, considered a slow learner. He was the responsible one, the only one besides Gary who had a driver's license. He owned the turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego that they all piled into that night. Jack hated cold weather and had never been up into the mountains. Bill Sterling, 29. Another Army veteran, described by family as a gentle, slow learner. Quiet, loyal, always there for his friends. Jackie Hewitt Jr., 24. Mild intellectual disability. Sweet Kai, who hated talking on the phone. He'd always make someone else answer for him. He and Ted Weir were especially close.
Ted Weir, 32. The oldest of the group. He also had intellectual disabilities and, according to his family, lacked common sense. He once asked why you had to stop at a stop sign. During a house fire, he had to be dragged out of bed because he was worried about being late for work. Ted loved to eat. His family said he'd eat anything he could get his hands on. He was a big guy, around 200 pounds. And finally, Gary Mathias, 25, the most complicated member of the group. Gary had served in the U.S. Army in West Germany, but developed severe drug problems and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was honorably discharged for psychiatric reasons. Back home, he lived with his parents in Marysville, took medication, trifluopyrazine and benzatropine, and worked in his stepdad's gardening business. His doctors actually called him one of our sterling success cases. He was doing well on outpatient treatment, but he still had episodes. These 5 guys didn't just play basketball together. They supported each other. Their families loved that they had this group. It gave them purpose, friendship, and something to look forward to every week.
On February 24, 1978, something big was happening. The Gateway Gators had made it to a week-long Special Olympics-style tournament. The winners would get an all-expenses-paid trip to Los Angeles. The night before, the boys laid out their uniforms, asked their parents to wake them early, and were buzzing with excitement. But first, they had plans for Friday night. They decided to drive 50 miles north to Chico, California, to watch a college game, UC Davis versus Chico State, at California State University, Chico. Jack Madruga got behind the wheel of his Mercury. They were only wearing light jackets. It was cool in the Sacramento Valley, but nothing extreme. The game ended. UC Davis won. The guys were happy. They drove a few blocks to Bears Market in downtown Chico. It was just before 10 p.m. closing time. The clerk remembered them clearly, 5 young men buying snacks, sodas, and cartons of milk. They took their time. She was annoyed they were delaying her closing, but she served them anyway. They climbed back into the car, and that was the last time anyone ever saw all 5 of them alive.
The next morning, Saturday, February 25th, none of them came home. Their parents started calling each other. Panic set in fast. By that afternoon, families reported them missing to police in Yuba and Butte counties. Searches began along the normal route between Chico and Yuba City. Nothing. No sign of the Mercury. No accidents. No one had seen them. Then, on February 28th, a ranger in the Plumas National Forest read the missing persons bulletin and remembered something. 3 days earlier, on the 25th, he had noticed a light-colored car parked way up on a remote dirt road called Oroville-Quincy Road, deep in the mountains at over 4,400 feet elevation. He thought it was just skiers, but now he realized that car matched the description. Deputies went up there, and there it was, Jack Madruga's 1969 Mercury Montego, stuck in snowdrifts. The engine started immediately when they hotwired it. Quarter tank of gas left. Keys missing. One window rolled down, something Jack almost never did. Inside, empty snack wrappers, milk cartons, the basketball game programs, and a neatly folded road map. The car had clearly been driven after they left the market. But here's what made no sense. This location was 70 miles from Chico and completely in the wrong direction from home. They were heading east into the snowy Sierra Nevada, not west or south toward Yuba City. The road was rough, high elevation, snow everywhere. The guys had no heavy coats, no boots, no supplies for winter mountains. Why were they even there?
A massive snowstorm hit right after the car was found. Search efforts with snowcats almost got rescuers lost. They had to call it off. The families waited and waited. Then, in June 1978, the snow finally melted. On June 4, a group of motorcyclists riding through the forest near a place called the Pigeon Roost, about 19.4 miles north of the abandoned car, stumbled upon something horrific. It was a locked U.S. Forest Service trailer used by firefighters. The front window had been smashed to get inside, and on one of the beds lay the body of Ted Weher. Ted's own wallet, his engraved ring, and a gold necklace were neatly on the table. Next to them, a gold watch that didn't belong to any of the 5 guys, and it was missing its crystal.
Gary Mathias's tennis sneakers were also found inside the trailer. 3 days later, searchers found the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling along the road between the car and the trailer, about 11 miles from the car. Their bodies had been partially scavenged by animals, so exact cause of death was listed as hypothermia. On June 7th, Jackie Hewitt's father found his son's backbone under a manzanita bush 2 miles from the trailer. Shoes and jeans were nearby. The skull was found 300 feet downhill the next day. Also hypothermia. Gary Mathias was never found.
Investigators pieced together what they could. The men had clearly walked, or tried to walk, almost 20 miles through deep snow in the wrong direction. They broke into the trailer looking for shelter. They ate some military ration. One more eerie detail. A man named Joseph Shawns had been stuck in his own car nearby on the same road the night of February 24, 25. He said he saw headlights, a parked car, people moving around, including what looked like a woman holding a baby. He yelled for help. They went silent. Lights turned off. He thought he heard a pickup truck drive away. Later, he suffered a heart attack and wasn't 100% sure of the details, but the families always said, "Our boys would never ignore someone calling for help." The official cause of death for the 4 found men, hypothermia, with starvation in Ted's case. Gary is still listed as missing, presumed dead, and the case is considered open with suspicion of foul play. So, what really happened? The simplest theory, they took a wrong turn near Oroville, maybe followed snowcat tracks thinking it was the right road home. The mountains disoriented them. Hypothermia set in fast. It causes confusion, poor decisions, even hallucinations. They abandoned the car because it got stuck and they thought they could walk for help. They found the trailer, survived for a while, but eventually the cold won. But a lot of people, including the families, don't buy it. Why drive 70 miles in the completely wrong direction? Why leave a perfectly drivable car? Why not use the fireplace or more food? Why was Ted wrapped so carefully? Whose watch was that? And why has Gary Mathias never been found? Some point to Gary's schizophrenia. Maybe he had an episode and convinced the others to go somewhere else. Or maybe foul play. Someone forced them off the road, or something sinister happened at that trailer. The families have lived with this pain for decades. Ted's nephew Dallas Wire said recently, "For 47 years, you have had whole families of people carrying the weight of not knowing. I sense that something evil is at the core of what happened to them." The Yuba County Five were just 5 friends who wanted to watch a basketball game and dream about winning a trip to LA. Instead, they became one of California's most haunting mysteries. If you have any theories, drop them in the comments. Have you heard of this case before? Which part creeps you out the most? The abandoned car, the untouched food in the trailer, or the fact that Gary was never found? If you want more videos on unsolved disappearances, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more coming. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. You never know when a normal night can turn into something that haunts you forever.